Technology, it's everywhere all the time, and as kids are growing up right now, it's pretty hard to avoid. It's also something many experts say could be causing a mental health epidemic among our kids. So is it too much to handle, and what can we do about it? Zach Roush joins us now live. Zach is one of the lead researchers for a book called The Anxious Generation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Amanda, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So I think we can all agree, kids are connected to their phones, but you did some research and you found out that, we're seeing a lot of depression, we're seeing a lot of anxiety, suicide attempts the last, 15 years or so. Talk a little bit about the research you found that kind of correlated the two.
Yeah, so since 2010 or so, we've seen that rates of major depression among adolescents, in particular adolescent girls, more than doubled. And we've also seen a tripling in self-harm emergency department visits for young adolescent girls. And what we're trying to do in The Anxious Generation is to explain what happened. And what we do know, as you were saying, is that kids are saturated in technology, spending 7 to 9 hours every day on screens, 5 hours on social media. And the risk of depression is about double for those who spend more than 5 hours a day on social media. And consistently, we're finding that there's this correlation and causation as well, that heavy users are much more likely to experience depression, anxiety, and other harms.
And so this is an entire generation. We're talking about Gen Z here. I'm a millennial, so I feel like I had a little bit of my childhood there where I didn't have that phone yet. I think I was in high school when I finally got a phone, and it didn't do much. So, and social media wasn't a thing until I got into college. So, we had a lot of outdoor play and things like that. So do you think that these Gen Z kids, that it's to their detriment that they didn't get as much of that playful youth?
Yeah, the key thesis of our book is that we made two major mistakes, well-meaning mistakes, which is that we've been overprotecting kids in the real world and underprotecting them online. And so over the last few decades, kids have been spending much less time outdoors, unsupervised, out with their friends. We've seen just sizable declines in how much time kids are spending with each other, with friends, going to the mall, going to the movies, spending time just with each other in person, and much, much more time online. And that is inhibiting, that's making them feel more lonely, more disconnected, and not learning the skills that you really need to grow up and thrive as an adult.
It's really interesting because, yeah, I do remember, hopping on my bike in the neighborhood and my mom wouldn't see me all day and, but she wasn't really worried about me. And I feel like it's not like we're, less safe outside now than we were. So, maybe we need to let our kids hop on their bikes and ride around the neighborhood. Yeah. So what are some of the suggestions that you all are coming up with in the book for parents, teachers, guardians?
Yeah. So the one thing for all of us to understand is that parents, teens, kids, we're all stuck in a trap. And what I mean by that is that everybody, no parent wants to have to tell their 13-year-old, I'm sorry, you can't have a phone, you can't have a social media account when all of their friends have them as well. Um, it's an extremely hard thing to say no to. And no child wants to be the only one to be socially isolated. And so in many ways, kids and parents feel trapped. And so the solutions that we offer in the book is that there are 4 things that we can do if we work together that helps us get out of that trap. And so the 4 norms are to delay smartphones until high school, getting smartphones out of middle school. That's typically where we see the biggest amount of harm. No social media until 16. We really push for phone-free schools, getting from bell to bell. The kids can store the phones in their in lockers or in phone pouches, and that lets them pay attention to their teachers and to pay attention with each other rather than looking down on their phones. And finally, we don't want to just take things away. We also need to give back what we were talking about before, that free play, joyous childhood. So more independence, free play, and responsibility in the real world. And of course, you can find more on our website at anxiousgeneration.com.
Yeah, and pick up the book. It's really interesting. I think those four things, it may seem like, okay, well, duh, kids shouldn't have phones until they're in high school. But as you said, you don't want to be that parent that doesn't let you'll be the only kid who doesn't have one. But, this could be really, really important for further growth. So really interesting information today, Zach. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.